Alrighty, guys. I wanted to take you through something that I've been working on. I've got it to a workable stage. I've been using it. This, what you're looking at on the screen now, is a little $10,000 FTMO account that a friend of mine's just purchased, and we've set him up with FutureFX SMC Master on it. So not much has changed with SMC Master. Um, But what I've done, I've came up with another little sort of complementary piece of software that we just put on another chart, and it's called the Money Manager. So it doesn't take out any trades or anything like that, but it manages um, when trades get closed out, depending on whether that trading account's in profit or behind for the day, and things like that. So it manages the money. Some people may not like it, some people will. So far, my experience with it has been quite good. For example, this is my friend's account that he just set up last weekend. Did he? Let me have a look. When did we? The first trade. Oh, there we go. Yeah, the first trade was just taken out on the 14th, so that was Wednesday. Yeah, I think we finished setting it all up for him on Tuesday, and so since then it's just taken out three trades. And if we hadn't have had the money manager, it would have taken out the same three trades, but they all would have closed for a small amount like this middle one. But instead, it's closed this one out and this one out at, well, this one's just under, this one's just over, but they got closed out because that trade got into 0.5% profit, because that's what we had the money manager set at. So yeah, this is just on a chart. I've just got it small, just so because it doesn't. That's all it shows. It doesn't have to be very big. So I make it small, put it in the corner, or you can just, you can just leave it behind the scenes and not even. I think this is probably preferable. You just leave it behind the scenes and you completely forget about it. Because if you completely forget about it, then you won't interfere with what it's doing. Set it up how you want it, and then just forget about it and let it do its thing. So it's got a few settings. Let's have a quick look at them. Not very many settings, but the first trade of the day. All right. So at the start of the day, the very first trade, not the first trade to open, but the first trade to hit, in this case, 0.5% profit, it will close it out. All right. So the idea behind that is that you lock in 0.5% of profit straight up. We're using 0.5% risk per trade on all of the three pairs we've got the SMC Master on. You don't have to use 0.5% just because you've got 0.5% there, but that's what I'm working on. So the idea is you grab that 0.5% as soon as it's there, close the trade, lock it in, you've made that profit. All right. Then if the next trade for the day is a losing trade, we're going to lose 0.5%. We're just back to break even. All right. Whereas what can happen is, depending on the trade and the size of it, it might open up a trade and it might go into good profit. It might get up to 0.75% or even 1% profit, and then drop down and either hit a trailing stop loss for small profit, or if that hasn't activated yet, it'll come right back down to where the stop loss was, and you'd take that 0.5% loss. That happens sometimes. Not every trade that the software takes out is going to go all the way through and take profit. So that can happen. So the idea here is that the first one, bang, 0.5% profit, take it, well done, job's over. And if you get no more trades for the day, well, that's okay. You made 0.5% for the day. If you could do that every day, you would be laughing. Of course, there are times when it would close that trade out, and then you watch that particular market keep on going and you wish that hadn't happened. But then you got those days where it retraces and you take your loss and you go, thank God I actually had that money manager keeping an eye on things. And that's what happened with this particular account on these couple of days. It took more profit than it would have if we'd have left SMC Master on its own. So sometimes it's going to be helpful, sometimes not so much. But the point is, it's always going to be locking in that profit. And as long as you make a profit, you're on a winner, really. All right, we've got another one here, which is break-even mode. Now, this is already part of SMC Master, but I've made this money manager because I foresee that people using different softwares, or even something that's not FutureFX software, could benefit from the money manager. Even manual traders, they could put this on a chart, just have it in the background and do their manual trading, and it's automatically going to close trades when certain criteria are met to help you manage your money. It's only going to be beneficial to people that are day trading. If you're carrying trades over to the next day, just one day is probably not a problem. But if you're doing trades that take multiple days or weeks or months to play out, then this won't be of any use to you because it's doing all its calculations based off intraday type stuff. All right, but I'll go through what break-even mode is anyway, just so those that aren't using SMC Master understand. It simply means that if you've taken a losing trade for the day, so essentially if your current account balance is lower than the starting balance for that day, then it's going to kick into break-even mode. And then when you take a trade and it goes into profit, as soon as it makes back the money that you were behind, the money you lost on the previous trade or trades, plus $10 in this case, then it's going to close that out. And now your account is $10 in profit for the day. All right, so I do like this because one of my biggest faults as a trader is, probably every trader, is greed. So if I'm and greed and revenge trading, all of my softwares are designed to address those problems, which are my problems in trading. And I would suggest, at least to some extent, those two issues are a problem for most traders. But so, the idea is there, you're behind for the day and then you get another trade and it goes into profit, you're in front and, you're feeling good because you've made it back, you're in front, but then you get greedy. You think, all right, this is going to keep going and I'll smash out a big profit on this one and my day's trading will be done. And you push your luck a bit far, and even though you were in profit by $10 for the day, then it drops back down and you take another loss or only a small profit and you don't end up being back. So this is just a little safety check. If your account gets behind for the day, it's just going to make sure, instead of aiming for making a huge profit, it's just going to protect your capital and make sure you stop trading as soon as you make it back plus $10. The main reason for $10 is that depending on your account size, this is a $10,000 account, so I've gone with $10. Anything 1,000 or under, probably just $1 or $2. The idea is that you want to make sure when it closes that trade that your account is slightly in profit for the day. And particularly if the market's being pretty volatile and moving fast, it might get into $10 profit, but then by the time it actually closes it all, the market might have gone back the other way. And, instead of being $10 in front, you only might end up, 3 or 4 or 2 or whatever dollars in front. And so if you had this set too small for the account size, it might get into that much profit, but by the time everything gels and the trade gets closed out, it might have retraced a bit and you might still end up down a little bit, which would leave this software still in break-even mode, so it can only try and make a little tiny bit on the next trade. So it's important not to set that too small, but you also don't want to set it too big, because the idea isn't to use it to make some big profit. It's just to get to break even. And then I've got another one here, which is like a maximum floating profit. I'm going to come up with a couple of other settings and scenarios as well, once I decide what I think's beneficial. And it's just what it sounds like. So if the current floating profit, no matter how many pairs or how many trades you have open, reaches 3% of your account balance, it's just going to close everything. All right, so that's just because, quite often when I'm watching my trading, I'll have one trade in big profit, another one in a little bit of profit, but then a third trade will be going the wrong way, and it's still all balanced out pretty nicely. But if you don't end up taking big profit when it's there, the good trade can turn around on you, and it's harder to manage multiple trades. So it's just a little safety check. There's no specific amount that I'm recommending. I just happen to have it set at 3%. And so you might have 5 trades open, combined together, they get into 3% profit. It's going to close everything. And let's be honest, if you make 3% for the day, you're going to be fairly happy anyway. And and then it's just going to keep doing what it's doing. It's not going to stop trading for the day. It's still going to keep, it's still going to do whatever the manual trader or the software in this case is doing. So in this case, if it got into 3% profit, it's going to close everything. But then, SMC Master's usually trying to make 5 or 6% profit for the day. So even though it's closed out all the current trades, it's still going to look for new entry points. It's still going to keep doing what it does, find new entry points and trying to make some more. And with SMC Master, if it does get up to, what's this one set at? If this one's just set at 2.5% anyway. So if this particular pair had have got into 2.5% profit, it would have closed anyway. Anyway, so that's what those 3 settings are all about. I think they're pretty easy to understand. And, some of these settings as I said, break even's already in the SMC Master settings and that. And I could have put the others into the software itself. But the idea was that you just have it in the background and you forget about it. That way, you're not tempted to go, well, this trade's going to keep going. I'm going to change the settings and make a bigger profit. That's what I'm trying to avoid. So it's in the background there. I'm going to forget about it and just do my trading, let SMC Master do the trading, and it's going to, as the name suggests, manage the money. But anyway, just with what we're looking at here, I've got so this is just like an EA here. It's a money manager. Just drag it onto the chart. But before you drag it onto the chart, there's a template that I load on which just blacks it all out. And then you put the software on top of that as well. So what we're looking at here, like today, there's been no trades on this account today. So the writing can be either green or yellow. Yellow means it's not active at the moment. So at the moment, because the account isn't behind for the day, this one's in yellow, meaning it's not active. If your account gets behind for the day, this is going to change to green, meaning the break-even mode is activated and it's going to be looking to break even plus $10. So at the moment, because it's the start of the trading day, we're still going to close out that first trade at 0.5% profit. So if any individual trade, it doesn't matter if we had 5 trades open, the first one to reach $51 profit is going to get closed out and we're going to lock in that 0.5% profit for the day. Then that'll turn to yellow because it's no longer active. We've already had our first trade and we've taken that 0.5% profit. At that stage, we'll only have the max floating profit in green. So that's the only other one of those three that'll be active then. And that's just in case. Like I said, this one here is on these settings because we're only doing 0.5%. It's looking to make 2.5% profit for the day. And I think this one's 3%, and this one might be 3.5%. But either way, this one might get up to 2% profit. This one might be in 0.5%, and this one gets into 0.5% profit. So combined between those three, you get up to 3% profit. It would close them out because you're happy with 3%. Anyway, that's pretty much all of it. I am going to be having a couple of other lines of info and settings and scenarios there to help manage the money more. But for the moment, it's looking good. And this particular account here is a friend of mine. He's the first person to be using it other than myself. And we've only used it for a few days, but so far it has improved the performance of SMC Master. There will be days, of course, when it closes out the wrong trade, the trade that would have went and taken a lot more profit. But I totally believe that it'll balance out to improve performance on average, long term, so to speak. You know me, I'm all about that long-term average. All right, guys, thanks for listening. If anyone wants to have a play with it, sing out, and I'll talk to you later.